Now, Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula is joining several other ministers in Durban today. They'll be checking out the state of roads and a lack of water and electricity following the devastating floods. Senior reporter Aviwe Mtila is there and joins us now. Aviwe, we expect Minister Mbalula any time from now. He'll be joining those officials from PRASA and Sunroll just to assess the damage and road rail infrastructure, which I suppose has really halted business operations significantly because several of those key road networks remain closed. Just paint a picture for us of the extent of the damage to the road infrastructure.
Well, Mfundo, you'll have to even judge by the ministers that are already on the ground here at the Durban Trade Port. Minister Mbalula is already inside in a closed meeting together with the Human Settlements Minister, Mamaloko Kubai, and the Small Business Minister. Of course, Senzo Mchunu, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, is already out and about. You'd understand that he's checking the various infrastructure that has been damaged as water is fast becoming a scarcity around Durban. We do understand that the 2 treatment plants out of the 4 have been severely damaged. Just the extent then of those megalitres that have been reduced from the 540 megalitres that Umgeni water treatment plant would normally produce. It's been severely reduced to around 390 megalitres that it produces on a daily basis. But just to get some idea, Mfundo, on the extent of the water supply that has been affected in Durban, I am joined now by the spokesperson of Water and Sanitation, that's Ndate Sputnik Retal. Thank you for joining us at ENCA. Blomkhulu, but what are the teams telling you on the ground in terms of the extent of the damage and how widespread is it?
Well, we can see that the damage is quite widespread. When you look at the number of people who are desperate for just a drop of water, and this is not just people in the outlying areas. Some parts of the city itself have been affected. When we look at the kind of damage that has happened to the Umgeni water board, for instance, infrastructure, where you have 2 treatment works that have been affected. One of them has reduced production from 540 megalitres per day, as you were saying, to about 390, which is about almost a third of the output. So that can tell you that there's a lot of water that has been lost. But remember as well, when we look at some of the floods that have affected one of our dams, for instance, Shongweni, I know that it was in the news for all the wrong reasons, where people thought that the wall had collapsed. But in essence, it was 2 of the gates that had done what they are supposed to do as per design, that once they are under pressure up to a certain extent, then they will fuse and they will let water out.
Have you been able to quantify the extent of the damage, how much it will cost, and how long it will take to repair? Because my colleague Spamandla Kwage was talking to the Deputy Mayor yesterday, who suggested that it could take up to 6 months to fix the infrastructure. What's the idea?
At the moment, we don't have a final figure. We're still working at that. And remember that some of that infrastructure is inaccessible at the moment, simply because of the amount of water and the amount of damage that has been there. So therefore it will take a bit of time just to finish the assessment in the first place, even before we put a rent figure to it. So that is work that is still going to be ongoing, but we are hoping that in the next couple of weeks we will be able to see some of that work coming to fruition. What we are also saying is, it's a bit of a conundrum, because we would love to have rain. But we know that in the situation that we are, if we experience more rain in the next couple of days, it will just halt even the kind of work that is already on the ground.
And that rain is expected even from this evening. Then what happens in terms of how long it will take to repair the infrastructure? Some are suggesting 6 months.
It's difficult for me to say. Once the assessment is done, we will then be able to tell exactly where it is. But obviously, knowing how our minister operates, he would be able to say to the people that, look, okay, that is what you're saying, it will take to do the repairs, but I'm sure he will have a prayer, as he normally says, that this is how long I would love to have that work done. Normally, he would love to have it done as in less a portion of time as possible.
And then there are already queues and rows that are standing by for water, not able to access water. What happens in the meantime?
Part of what Minister will be briefing the country on in the joint briefing later on today will be exactly what has been put in place even overnight last night between the department, the municipalities, as well as Umgeni Water, our entity. But obviously everything must also get sign-off in terms of the Disaster Management Act, because we know that we are in a state of disaster here in KZN. So that is going to assist us to be able to shorten even the procurement processes legally, by the way, so that we don't fall foul of the Auditor General and the PFMA in the ultimate.
Okay, so those people that are waiting on those queues, what must they do in the interim?
In the interim, we know that there are a number of trucks that are attempting to go through. Remember that some of the roads are also not helping by the state in which they are, simply because of the result of the floods. So it will take a bit of time. We ask everybody, each one of us, to be as patient as we would really pray for, but we would definitely work twice as hard to be able to make sure that the people on the ground are not further disadvantaged.
Okay, thank you very much. Putnik Ratau is the spokesperson for water and sanitation, suggesting that even the damage that's been assessed so far hasn't been completed, given that the water levels are still too high to properly assess what's been damaged on the ground. Of course, those ministers meeting just inside now, and then thereafter they'll be venturing out to different areas to properly assess the infrastructure themselves, as we expect even the rain to continue over the weekend. We've seen the PRASA CEO here who says that trains have been halted from last Monday even before the flood started heavily in KwaZulu-Natal, as they saw how the rain would damage the infrastructure here. Of course, at this stage, Mfundo, it's been estimated to around nearly R1 billion of damage, but of course that's not properly assessed yet, as we do understand. Of course, there are those concerns when it comes to water, even in terms of how long it will take to get the infrastructure in place once more.